Hi, and welcome back to Julia at Home. I'm Julia. I am a mom of 4. My kids right now range from the age of 2 to the age of 10. And I love holidays. I love holidays in all forms of parties and celebrations. And I think the holidays are even more fun when you have kids in the house. I have always celebrated Halloween in the typical American fashion. It's a big deal holiday around here, but it's very commercial. It's, getting costumes. I very much admire the people that make costumes, though I haven't done that very much. So buying costumes usually and dressing up on Halloween evening and going trick-or-treating, getting all the candy and all that. And that's lots of fun. I did that as a child with my siblings, and I do have my kids go trick-or-treating now. As I have gotten older, though, I have been craving more meaning behind all the holidays, but especially Halloween, because what we have today is really quite commercial. So I did a little research, and I have come up with some traditions for our family for Halloween to make it a little bit more meaningful, and that's what this video is about. I have been inspired by the Mexican Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, as well as the Celtic traditions of Samhain, spelled like this. Or what I could find on it, and just other bits and bobs that I've learned and read here and there on some of the holidays from around this time of the year, or around the shift from fall into winter, which is where we are. The first thing that I've actually been doing since my kids were little is an ancestor tree. For the Mexican tradition, I believe they have altars and they have pictures of their loved ones there, and there's a lot more to it in the Mexican tradition. Again, I am not trying to copy what they're doing. I'm just taking inspiration and then doing what feels right for my family. Other peoples around the world have also honored ancestors and the dead around this time of year. So for me, the ancestor tree felt like a great way for me to incorporate this. So the ancestor tree is simply a branch. It's a dead branch from a tree that stays with my fall decorations that I put out. And I made little, I guess, kind of ornaments with craft paper. And then I took pictures of deceased ancestors, and the pictures on one side with their name and the date of their life on the other, their birth and death years. And at this point, I've just chosen to do direct ancestors. So we're very fortunate that both mine and my husband's parents are still alive. So it is a combined ancestor tree, and it has some of our grandparents. He still has 2 living grandmothers, which is amazing. Some great grandparents. I think we might have all of our great grandparents, and a couple 1 or 2 great grandparents, which is very cool. And I like to put these up every year and think about the people on the tree. And I also like to share stories that I know about them with my children and share who they are with the children. I grabbed a couple for example. So this is actually my grandmother, and I knew her very well. 2 of my children got to meet her before she passed away in 2018. And this is her wedding day picture. And she was a home ec teacher for many years, and she ended up being the head of the department, and she even won an award as state teacher of the year in her state one year. So anyway, I have lots more stories about her because I knew her well, so I'm able to tell my children about her and kind of keep that memory alive. And then another example I have here is this is actually her grandparents, and I did not meet them personally because they both passed away before I was born, and that they passed away in the 1970s. However, I heard so many stories about them from my grandmother. So what I have learned about them, I then also tell my children. So yeah, that's them there. And they were born in 1871 and 1880. So that's pretty cool. So the ancestor tree is one way that I make Halloween more meaningful for me. Another way is to acknowledge the shift in the seasons. We observe Halloween on October 31st, and it is actually the halfway point between the fall equinox and the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. So that's where it is in the solar cycle. And here where I am, it really does feel like the shift between fall and winter. Like you can really feel in the air, there's a definite change and more of a nip to the air. So I acknowledge it really as, you can think of it either as the beginning of winter, or you could think of it as like early fall versus late fall. We are now in the late fall time period, but it definitely feels different. And so for us, and also historically, how people would acknowledge a change in the seasons was through, maybe throwing a harvest celebration, having a bonfire, or other sort of acknowledgement of the sun and the changes. And in the modern pagan wheel of the year, the holiday of Samhain is actually the third harvest festival of the year. So something akin to what a lot of Americans and Canadians think of Thanksgiving. I know Canadians do Thanksgiving in October, and for Americans it's at the end of November. And for us, this is really the best time of year for that harvest festival. So it makes sense that we've just pulled in all these fruits of our harvest for the year, and so let's have a feast to celebrate that we made it through this harvest season and celebrate all that the earth has given us. So I'm taking that and I'm going to do a harvest meal, and we're going to actually do it on November 1st, the day after Halloween is celebrated here. Some people call that All Saints Day. And we're also going to, at that time, at dinner, honor our ancestors as we do it. So I'm going to make things like, my plan this year, might not be the same every year, is to make a venison pot pie. We can get local venison here that's been ethically hunted. And I will cook up some of the squash and other things that I grew in the garden as well, and probably make 1 or 2 yummy desserts, because what's a celebration without yummy desserts? I'm sure I'll make something involving apple and something involving pumpkin, most likely. And during that meal, we will lay out an extra place at our table for our ancestors to acknowledge them. And also I'm hoping to kind of have the ancestor tree out nearby, and we can talk about the ancestors on the tree, as well as other people in our lives who have passed on, and other memories that we have. The third thing feels a little bit stranger, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So one of the beliefs that was prevalent in many places around this time of the year is that it is a time when the veil between this world and the other world, the spirit world, thins. And so people were afraid of spirits passing through, and evil spirits or bad spirits passing through and harming people. And so they did things for protection. And that's actually where the jack-o'-lantern comes from I believe turnips or something like that they would carve out and put a light in, with faces, and that's supposed to scare away evil spirits. And we do make jack-o'-lanterns. I don't know if they actually scare away evil spirits, but you know what? It can't hurt. I think about it as we're moving into the colder time of year, and this is a time of year where more people get sick and there's more germs and things going around. And so, we're inside more with more people. And so I'm thinking about protection in terms of protecting and fortifying our health for the upcoming season. And so I'm also just using this as a time to make some fire cider and to have some elderberry tea, elderberry gummies. I love making elderberry gummies. I follow the recipe for them in a book that I'm forgetting the name of right now, but I will link it below because it's a great, I think it's Herbal Adventures. It's a great book for doing herbal stuff if you're a beginner and with kids. So anyway, elderberry gummies. And then also just being prepared for winter. We live in a place where it gets very cold. We can get a lot of snow. I try to stock up on some just food and other things in the house that I always just set aside and have on hand just in case there is a blizzard. And I haven't gone grocery shopping recently, or I'm supposed to go grocery shopping. I don't want to have to go out in the blizzard to get food or other supplies. So I do try to have a stock of those for the winter. It's probably good to have that anyway, no matter where you are, for emergencies. So I just use Halloween, and I won't be doing this on Halloween day per se, but I do use this as a time, as a cue really, to think about those things. So those are the 3 things that I am doing to make Halloween more meaningful for myself and my family. So we have the ancestor tree, a harvest dinner celebration, and thinking about protecting ourselves and our health and preparing for the upcoming colder season. So if you celebrate Halloween, I'd love to know what you do. Do you do anything special or unique? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe time out there. Bye, friends.